I am live. Thank you very much for attending my session today. And my main purpose is to share some things that will benefit you in your life because everything that I do on a weekly basis with you is to give you some things that have helped me. And if I'm able to share it with you, that means I get to keep whatever I have learned. And that's the best thing that I can do to stand on the shoulders of my giants in my life that have helped me tremendously. So let's get started. The what I'm going to talk about today, are you a builder or a destroyer of cities, countries, of people, or of social movements? Now, Shakespeare once said, "What is past is prologue." What prologue is that it's a determiner of what will happen in the present and what will happen in the future. Now, when you speak of prologue in terms of literary terms, it tells you what to expect in what you're reading. So, our behaviors that we have learned in the past will come to fruition currently or in the future. So if you use angry or harsh words, that's what you're going to use currently or in the present. So as or if you use kind words and nourishing words that to produce good fruit, that's who you will be, because the prologue was is that what you used in the past is what you're going to have now and in the future. So what you use in the past will help you create either individuals that are angry or individuals that are very kind to each other. It's up to you. So if you are an individual who uses angry words and you're upset all the time, or if you're fearful, you're a destroyer. If you use uplifting, motivating terms, I am special, I am strong, or you are special, you are strong, or you're a builder. So keep that in mind as you go along here. Now, back in the 60s and 70s, they had performed an experiment with plants. What and for those individuals out there that are about my age, 64, maybe a little younger, you might remember the experiments. They did it with plants. And what the scientists did is that they had two groups of plants. One group had a plant and they would talk to it, water it, and say nice things to it, and gave it enough air and sunshine and was kindly towards it. Okay. So, and they found with this experiment that the plants grew a lot more than what it was expected. Also, generationally, the seeds from those plants that were talked to nicely, the seeds from those plants produce the same type of plant that was talked to nicely. So it grew strong and it grew healthily And succeeding generations after that produced even more. They had and also they used to play very soothing music to that group. And so as a consequence, it produced strong, healthy, vibrant, green plants along with its offspring. The second group, people spoke to them in a harsh manner. They neglected it. Um, they only watered it when it was needed. They uh, left it in the dark. They pretty much ignored it. And so the end result of that uh, neglecting, obviously, that plant didn't grow quite as well. And also the offspring that was produced, the succeeding generations or successive generations after that, of its seeds produced poorly shapen plants. They were plants that did not produce healthy plants. One form produced another form of the same type. Now, so when we're dealing with human beings, you're going to have the exact same results. We all have what is called cell memory. Let's say, for instance, a man who has fear and anger within him. Well, within the sperm, the man will pass that cell memory to the woman to fertilize her egg. And the same with the woman. If the woman was fearful and angry and unsure, the cell memory produces that type of child. Now, of course, there's other factors in terms of environment that plays a big role. But if the environment doesn't change to a healthier environment, then therefore it will trigger that cell memory and you produce offspring that are similar to uh, the same demeanor of the male that was angry or fearful, as well as the woman. But if you were confident and brave, and you would say things, I am strong, I am powerful, I am loving, that cell memory picks that up because all of our words have vibrations, all of them. And so a positive vibration will go into that cell memory. And so what happens is that all the generations prior to us, it has been passed down through the genes from prehistoric times. We have what is called a reptilian mind, which is where we react, it's either fight or flight. When we feel endangered, well, those are from genes from thousands of years ago, and we will act accordingly. So those cell memories that we have affects us to this day. So we have to be very careful. If we want to short circuit those influences, we have to change the way we think, thereby changing our lives. It's as simple as that, but it can be done. Now, I'm going to be speaking in particular to the African African American community on this particular situation, but this applies to all people. In our community, we have two words that we seem to, especially in these present times, where we call it the N word, Nigg, you get the rest, or the B word, BIT, you get the rest. Now, the N word, and most people feel that they can use these words with impunity. And what I mean by that, in other words, for those that use these words, feel that they will have no fear of negative consequences. They are, because those words bring up old cell memories from slavery times that affects us today. Give you an example. I was on the bus one day. There was a young teenage man or a young boy that was using the word constantly. Now, since I grew up during the 60s and 70s, we used to say to each other, my brother, my sister. Well, that's biblical. That's a more positive connotation. But this young man was continually using this word, and I said, my brother, please stop using the N word. And so he had some vulgarities to me, and he tried to jump up out of his seat and act like he was going to hurt me and this, that, and the other. But it shows you what that word has done to that young man. Negativity. Now, let me give you definition, the Webster Dictionary definition of the N word. It's the most offensive word that you can use. It's deeply insulting. The speaker wishes to cause great harm. I emphasize that again, great harm to someone. And the someone is ourselves and to others. We can't do that. Or use the B word, referring to women. It's calling a woman a female dog. A female dog. It's something that is malicious and it's something that is spiteful. So Maya Angelou once said that because this current generation says, and whatever generation, they said, well, we use the word as a personal greeting. Well, you got other nationality saying that same word. I'm not going to tell his nationality, but he came up to me and say, my N word. I said, whoa, wait a minute. No, no, no. But getting back to what Maya Angelou said and what this current generation says is that, well, we're trying to reclaim it and make it less uh, vitriolic. The truth is the truth is the truth. That word does damage because your cell memory, so those individuals, the young guys out there and the women out there, your ancestors are still with you, and you're hurting your ancestors. You're hurting them, the ones that were lynched. Guess what the last word they heard before they died or were burned? Die inward. That was the last thing. Don't you think that that is within our cell memory? Yes. Maya Angelou said that even though the young people are trying to reclaim that word as being something positive, it's like taking fine china or a fine goblet and pouring poison in it. It's still the same, regardless of how you dress it up. It's intolerable. We have to stop. The words that we use are destructive. Now, I'm a man of faith, so I will use biblical terms. I know there are other people out there of different faiths. That's okay. Or there's agnostic or atheist. That's okay. You can look at this in a scientific way. That's up to you. If you're agnostic or a atheist, they will perform experiments, which they did with the plants, realizing that our thoughts affect and our words affect living, breathing mammals. Now, what I'm going to say is from the Bible. My word that proceeds from my mouth, it will not return to me void. Isaiah 55:11. Now that's God speaking. So we are created in the image of God. So with every word that we speak out into the world, it will return back to us in what we say. So irrespective of trying to reclaim the word and make, no, that word, your ancestors heard those words and they knew what it meant. It was a lot of them that were hung, or like Emmett Till, that was what he had heard. All of our ancestors who are African American. Let me take another step further. Other cultures, the Japanese, the Chinese, Native Americans, women, I can just go on and on. They have had derogatory statements applied to them. So if you want to destroy yourself, use those words on yourself or others. And growing up, I was angry and upset a lot because of racism. I had people spit on me, etc. Or even my own culture sometimes, because I'm light skinned, used to be called high yellow or whatever. Did damage. But what I learned is that don't do that to other people. So I became embittered. Last year at this time, I had my thyroid taken out because I had thyroid cancer. Also, I have a benign tumor in the brain. That was because of all that anger that I had. But they caught it in time. So I'm cancer free. But when we're angry, it will cause us to produce a hormone called cortisol, cortisol. It's called a stress hormone. And this will cause us to put on weight. I used to weigh over 350 pounds, but I lost 140 pounds, did the LA Marathon. And then I got into a program that helped me lose that weight. I didn't do the marathon at over 350 pounds. Only reason why I say over 350 pounds because the scale doesn't go over that much. So back in 94, I did the LA Marathon. But what I learned to do, I learned to speak better of myself. Now, another biblical term, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is, which is Proverbs 23:7. So I love me now without a hint of arrogance because I had to look at the darkness within me. I was causing harm to myself. So I had put on all that weight. One day I'm going to bring a picture of what I looked like back then. And also, uh, started realizing that I had to be kinder to myself. I had to learn to forgive people. Anytime, I'll give you a great example. I had a situation where I lost my wife, I lost all my material possessions, I didn't have my daughter for a period of time. I had every right to be angry and upset because someone lied. But every time that these individuals or this individual comes to my mind, I say, may they have as much love and light in their life as I do. That's forgiveness. And now I barely think about what had happened because God has given me back nearly everything. And I have met somebody that I care about greatly. I know she might be listening. So, tremendous human being. That was all because I did the work, and it's hard work, and it will scare you to death. It takes more courage to look at your dark self than it does the courage of a soldier on a battlefield. How do I know this? It scared the crap out of me because I to look at myself, my dark self, but I found that I wasn't as bad as I thought. But I had to have an equal balance of understanding the dark and also the light within me. My darkest past was my greatest asset because it propelled me more into the light. God loved me enough, He allowed me to lose all these things because I've gained 100-fold in some cases, but I've gained a ton of wisdom. That's why I'm doing these sessions so that I can share with you what I've learned. So instead of acquiring cars or mansions or prestige, getting titles, I go out every single day and I try to make someone's life better. My life is not complete unless I said something kind to somebody. There was a young lady that I saw in Starbucks. I call it my office. She had beautiful black hair. Now, I wasn't trying to pick her up or anything or flirt with her or anything like that. But I said, I've never seen hair that black. It's really pretty. She said, oh, thank you, sir. I wouldn't have done that in the past because I would have felt intimidated. Have I been rejected by other people? Yes. They will ignore me, but 99% of the time, people I will say, "Oh, those are nice looking shoes," or you do a good job." That's how you heal yourself. I suggest that those that want to feel the joy that I feel, go to some of my posts. Just look up Thomas Sockwell on Facebook. The vast majority of the things I share with people are positive because the inner me is reflected outwardly. So my lady friend was asking, well, you're always positive. The reason why is because I am willing to be vulnerable to someone that I trust. And I do that all the time. So keep this in mind. Countries can be created because of the positive words that you use. The Declaration of Independence. So our country was created on what? Words. It's a a fact that's been around for generations. Three things. You have a thought, you have a feeling, and then you take action. There's no secret to that. So the words that you use can create countries or destroy them. Good example. Twice Germany was destroyed in World War One and World War Two. So the words that you use will either create or destroy countries. Also, it will start social movements. Back in the 60s and 70s, Martin Luther King, I have a dream. And on this last day he was on earth, he says, I do not have a lot of material possessions to leave behind. All I want to be known for is I tried to help somebody. And the great ironies in this world is that when you do something to enhance other people's spiritual growth, it enhances yours. If you want more insight, read Francis Assisi. Whatever you give out, that's what you get back. I read the Francis Assisi prayer every single day. And I have a sign that you're not able to see right now that says serve. And you know what the irony is? Everything I've lost has been replaced. In some cases, tenfold or 100-fold. Because God loved me enough, He allowed me to go through the bad times, to sharpen what is in me. And I finally love myself. I'm going to make mistakes, but you know what, people? I am not a mistake. You're going to make mistakes. So let me sort of tie things up here. Remember the experiment with the plants. It's the same thing with human beings, how we treat other human beings and how we treat ourselves will last generations. So it's just not you can do anything with impunity, meaning that you will fear no consequence. Every single word has an effect, it has a vibratory rate on our system. Don't forget about cell memory. Goes back long time. And speaking in particularly and singularly to the African American community, do not use the N word or the B word. It's not fashionable. It's not prudent. It's not healthy. You will produce generation after generation after generation. How, and you will produce more sickness. I was that angry young man, and I produced thyroid cancer, benign tumor in my head. Some of it is hereditary, but it was my thoughts that exacerbated. And God loved God. They were able to catch it in time, and before it became a death sentence. So I will conclude by asking you, are you a builder or are you a destroyer? It's up to you. Now, if you want to get in contact with me, you can email me through fliesfar311@gmail.com. That's F as in Frank, L as in luck, Y is in your, S is in Sam, F is in Frank, A is in Apple, and R is in Rusty. 311@gmail.com. So, I would love to receive any comments that you have, or if there is anything that you would like to discuss more, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. So I also am a motivational speaker. Also, I am a Reiki master. Also, I teach Tibetan breathing, and also I'm an intuitive. So, what I will do is leave you today. Are you a destroyer or are you a builder? May everyone have peace profound and God bless you. Have a good day.